Yeah, I mean, there are some holdouts for research. I mean, if you took a look at Kyle's list of unfinished special research, you would also be of this opinion.
How many do I have right now?
I don't know. You've been pretty good about it, though, lately. You've been working through it.
I have 6, but 2 of them are rocket.
Yeah, they are.
2 of them are rockets, and 1 of them is the Chansey.
That's my co-host.
Yeah, it's almost done. 11 more Chanseys, and that one will be done.
You're tuned into the GOCast podcast, your one-stop shop for updates, news, tips, and community in the world of Pokemon Go. Thank you for listening.
The only thing bigger than the Gigantamax raids this past weekend is the feedback from trainers. Let's dig into it.
For those of you braving Gigantamax Gengar this week, remember, take nothing but the lamp.
And more on this episode of GOCast. Hello and welcome to the GOCast podcast, episode 306. It's October 29th. We're so close to Halloween. Oh my gosh. I'm your host, Chris, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Kyle.
Hiya.
How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah,
Glad to be home.
yeah, no kidding, right? I forgot to say it is a Tuesday. For those of you keeping track at home, and those of you who didn't believe in us, it is Tuesday. We just got back yesterday from the meetup in Mall of America. It was sick. It was so great seeing everybody. If you came out, thank you so much. I did get at least one message from somebody who was a little confused about where we were going to meet up and stuff like that. And I'm starting to realize that I could have been more clear on some more public avenues of knowledge on how to, like, where we were information wise. So if you were also confused or were discouraged for some reason from coming out because of not knowing what was going on, please take my apologies. Forgive me, please. And I will take notes for next year. Open to suggestions, y'all. Appreciate it. But for those of you that did come out, we had a great time. And I heard nothing but positive feedback from people, which for my personal anxiety is a blessing. So thank you for that gift in and of itself. And we're going to talk a lot about our experience with the Gigantamax battle system from this weekend. But we will get to that in due time. It'll be the first thing we talk about in the news section. But first and foremost, let's talk about our goals really quick and get them out of the way here. So, Mr. Kyle, you wanted to catch a shiny Spiritomb. Did you manage it this weekend?
No, that didn't happen. I do have 3 tasks currently for it stacked. I just need to do another raid.
Yep, that Win 3 raid task is...
I did a Pikachu before we recorded here.
Oh my gosh. Was it
was
shiny?
A free raid pass, but still.
Not shiny.
Not shiny.
Oh, bummer. Won any other shiny? Did you get that goal?
I did. I got that goal before the weekend even started.
Whoa. What'd you get?
A Shuppet.
We love it. At least
amongst other things, I got a couple of shinies this weekend. So...
Anything new aside from the one I know about?
No. 3 duplicates.
Yeah. What about 1 million experience?
I did do that. I did 2 million.
Holy Mr. Overachiever, way to go.
On that same note, I also hit level 49 this weekend.
Congrats. He's 1 level away from me not harassing him about it anymore. So we're in the
25 million experience to go.
Send in your emails calling him a filthy casual while you still can. These are the golden times. They'll be gone before you know it. Well, congratulations, Mr. Sir. I appreciated being there for it when it happened. That was nice. 3 new Gigantamax Pokemon, and you know which 3 we're talking about.
I did. I got all 3.
Okay, the spoilers, some success. Yeah. Very nice. So 3 out of 4 for you, sir. That's pretty good. For myself, I wanted all 3 new Gigantamax Pokemon. I did do that. Yahoo. I wanted to hatch 100 eggs. I did not manage 100 eggs. I kind of lost track of my eggs after a while, which is embarrassing for me to say, because we definitely did put in the distance for walking around the mall. So I should have hatched them, but I did like 58 because I just forgot to re-incubate, got distracted. ADHD is a powerful beast. Let me just say. And then 500,000 Stardust, which I did do in spades. I get more than that. I definitely spent more than I gained, but I gained the 500,000 and then some for sure.
Stardust. Oh my God.
Yeah. So 2 out of 3 for me, which means that you technically, Mr. Kyle, are the winner this week. Congratulations. Woo!
Yay.
Yay. Okay, I don't really want to hold us up too long because we have a lot of things and a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts about the Gigantamax experience this past weekend. I'm eager for us to get there. So let's hop right into the news. Yo, what up? It's the news. I'm moving too quickly. I forgot to say Reggie Alecki and Reggie Drago have been in 5-star raids before, just once, though, prior, at least that we could find. So consider that a retraction. Thank you to several people that pointed it out to us when we were like, oh, this is the first time that they've been back since they were in elite raids. No, this is the second time, which means that they're still rather valuable if you missed it the time that they were around this other time. So make sure you go and get them if you are missing them, because of course the value is there. But we misspoke. They had been in raids prior once.
Yes. And speaking of misspeaking, I've been informed that it's Runarigus, not Runagrigus, like Coffagrigus.
Yeah.
So I'll do better. I'll try and do better next time. No promises.
I like you're ready to commit. And you're like, nah, hold on. Nah, I'll give it the old college try. How about that? We'll meet halfway. Great. Okay, let's talk about this. Over the weekend was the introduction of the Gigantamax battle feature. There were Blastoise, there were Venusaur, and boy, were there Charizard in these things. And it had been advertised as groups of 10 to 40. And to just sort of lay the foundation here for our discussion, people were having a hard time kind of across the board. If you had a group of 25, some people were failing. Some groups of 30 were failing. We did not have that problem. We were connected with the local Minneapolis group. And then we had like our own meetup going on. So we had like 2 meetups, right, that were into one big ball of Gigantamax battle energy, and we were able to take them down rather consistently. I think, Kyle, you did how many again? I did like 17.
I did 25.
Oh, okay. Maybe I did. I think I made it to 21. It was.
I got 8 of each, and one ran. I don't remember which one ran. So
yeah, one of my Charizard.
24 in my inventory right now.
Yes, and they could have been shiny. So, what shinies did you get?
I got 2 shiny Charizard and a shiny Venusaur.
You're better than me. 2 shiny Charizard over here only. So
the Venusaur was terrible, but one of the shiny Charizards was pretty great, actually. So.
Yeah, when it's shiny, and especially in a feature like this where even just getting the thing is kind of like a big deal, we take those. That's a W, folks. That's for sure. So anyway, there was some mixed feelings online. A lot of people were rather upset that they were unable to successfully do this, even with their local community. So it was an interesting weekend for us. And it was a very interesting weekend to be on social media, in particular, X, to see people's feedback and write-ups and blogs and YouTube videos. Even Trainer Tips made a video on this. It's been forever. It's been a hot minute. Nick, we missed you. It was good to see you back with your level-headed take and your wise words for advice. And we have our own thoughts and feelings. And you will, if you are plugged in to the Pokésphere, right, and you've watched these YouTube videos and you've read these blogs and you have doom scrolled that Twitter, then you will probably not hear anything particularly new from us. Because a lot of these takes have been said. Any take you can imagine was said already. But rest assured, we are going to share our thoughts all the same, because this is definitely worth discussing. So, Kyle, why don't you start by telling us about what your experience was with the feature and if you enjoyed it or not? And then I feel like we can kind of backtrack to talking about shortcomings or ways to improve or what the problems were.
So the feature as a whole, I enjoyed it. Obviously I had a great time this weekend. And I had a great time with the feature this weekend. And we'll talk about the potential exceptions there, and what's the word I'm looking for? Privilege that we had this weekend.
It's a good word.
But I really enjoyed the feature. I think there's a lot of positive to be had with the feature, but it has a lot of shortcomings too.
Yeah.
So yeah, had some really high moments and then some pretty mid moments as well.
For sure. And I'd like to echo that. Because we were experiencing success and we were surrounded by people that had powered up Dynamax Pokemon or were willing to power up Dynamax Pokemon in the moment in order to make these things happen and happen successfully. I'd like to echo Kyle's word of, yes, we experienced some severe privilege because we were at a place where 40 was not necessarily a problem. I had a lot of fun. And once people learned how to deal with it, like these groups of 40, we were able to do it with 30. There were a couple successful groups of 20. They were able to do it as well. And it was all about learning the mechanics of the feature. And I think let's start here. I think this is a good inroad to begin with. That one of the biggest problems that people were having is that they did not know what to expect, right? It's not that it was hard. It's not that it was hard. Is that we did not know what to do or how to prepare. And powering up Dynamax moves requires particles, quite a bit of them. And if you were going to do that, you needed to know that a few days ahead of time, not the day of, or even like a week ahead of time. It requires even a lot of daily.
As we'll talk about in a moment, is not really enough.
Yeah, it takes a lot of particles to do it. So if you're not willing to just shell out a bit of money to buy the particle packs, which, I mean, admittedly, Kyle and I did because we were taking advantage of the situation we were in to do as many of these things as we could with the people that we had. But if you were like just trying to, in your mind, almost like short man it, right, with like 15 people or 20 people of your local community for the first time, it's a huge ask. And it would have been nice to know ahead of time. The onboarding for this feature did not prepare anybody even close to enough for what was needed to successfully pull off a Gigantamax battle. So I think that's a great place to start. We could talk all day about accessibility, and we could talk all day about how rural trainers are getting the short end of the stick here. But I think the biggest takeaway is that we were not properly trained to identify and handle these battles in a way that was comfortable for this weekend to happen, especially for smaller groups. For bigger groups, we could get away with level 2 guard and heal. But for smaller groups, you needed everything maxed. Everything.
But like, okay, so here's where the sticking point comes in, though, is you don't just need the max skills. Because honestly, I think that until we have more experience, use your own experience here. If everything was level one attack, guard, and spirit, that's fine, whatever. You need powered up Pokemon. You can't go in with a Charmeleon or a Sobble, obviously. Don't do that, please. Wait, there was a lot of that this week.
There was a lot of that for sure.
And a lot of people are used to one certain way of playing, which is doing a raid, throwing in a pass, and using whatever you were given, using the recommended team. And that's fine usually because if you have more than like 4 people, you can beat a raid with kind of whatever. And this system is not like that.
No.
You need 8 people who know everything that they're doing, or you need like 20 people who are kind of like, messing around, but still know what they're doing. And that is a huge difference from the experience that we've had in Go for the last 7 years now. So
yeah, I think that's right on the money. And we've actually spent the last few weeks talking about how the Dynamax feature in particular sort of flies in the face of the standard what's the word I'm looking for? Paradigm, the playing paradigm that we have for the resource hoarding and for powering things up. Raids are doable if you take recommended, things like that, right? You don't even have to, for most raid encounters, you just need to power them up to like 40 and people are like, that's good enough. More often than not, you don't
Even
need to max
that's too
them
high.
out.
You can do most everything in the game at 30 and not really
Yeah.
blink if you have a few people.
Right. Exactly right. This, again, like Kyle said, is not like that. So here's a couple of things that were wrong with, or were rather detrimental to the casual experience of this. If you were the sort of person that was just trying to participate and you're like, hey, when there's usually 40 people around to do a raid or something like that, or 20, I can just bring my recommended. And if it is that Sobble, and if it is that Charmander that's not powered up, that's okay. The rest of the group is going to be able to do it because the margin of error is so large, right?
Yep.
There was none of that here, because even if there were 40, that means that you split into 10 groups of 4. And what you do during your Dynamax phase, all of you together, is very important.
Mhm.
You need everybody to have an idea of what they're doing, to keep their eyes open, to keep their head on a swivel, to heal when it's appropriate, or to guard, or to have a pre-designated role, which is also very difficult because you can't guarantee which group of 4 you're going to be in unless you hop in at the same time and you're metered and measured about it, which is hard.
Yeah, you ever try and control 60 people at the same time?
We had a hard enough
It's hard.
time getting a group of 60 to do a group of 30, wait another group of 30 after that timer expires.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlike in a raid where if maybe you aren't the strongest or there is dead weight or anything like that, if you have a party of 4, because that's how all these raids are split up, and you have 2 dead weight, the other 2 who they could be the best players in the world, it won't matter probably. And they won't be able to contribute because it's tuned too tightly to that expectation, I think.
Yeah.
But that party, I want to circle back to that party thing because it's so annoying to me. And it's not even necessarily a problem with the feature, but it should be fixed. They're groups of 4. We have party play. You can be in a party and you can join a raid with your party.
Mhm.
Why can't you just join a group of 4 with your party?
Yes. Yes. That's brilliant. That should be the default. Yes.
So there is some really good stuff with this Gigantamax feature for organized play. You can genuinely have someone who's like, I'm going to be a support here. I'm going to be more of a tank. You two can just do all of the damage. And that's really cool. Like, that's a great conversation to be having as people who have played MMOs for our entire lives. You know, that's just the status quo and the expectation. And it's something that Go has missed. Wizards Unite had that sort of feature going on for their raid/gym system.
Yeah, like classes, right? Almost.
Yeah, they had like classes and there was attacking and like supportive ones and
talent trees.
I didn't get deep enough into it to know the details. I just knew the broad strokes.
Yeah.
And that's present here. And that's really cool. But that's cool on a micro level. When you have a group of 4 communicating, it could be the best experience you've ever played in a video game. When you have a group of 8, it's a lot harder. And then when you get to a group of 12, that it just disintegrates.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Especially if you're a group of 12 people in real life standing next to each other. 12 people is a lot of people. Like, humans have a hard time visualizing numbers, but 12 people doesn't sound like a lot. It's a lot.
It is. It certainly is. And I'm gonna agree with Kyle. Actually, Kyle and I had like a 6-hour car ride where we got to talk about this. So our opinions are pretty much one already. We're not going to argue about a whole lot here. But the system is fun. It is really, really good. My biggest beef with it, again, is that the on-ramp to doing it and being prepared for it was just non-existent. We had in the past, prior to this, we had the starters for Kanto, the Galar starters. We had Wooloo and Squobit and Beldum and Phalanx. Beldum and Phalanx are the only things that are in a different category than the other ones.
Yeah.
And the other ones were so easy that you could take anything not powered up and just one attack them, and you're pretty much good to go. But even still, with the added difficulty on the Beldum and the Phalanx, it did not require you to get a group to learn how to guard, to learn when to heal. It was just does my Charizard have a flying move on it for Phalanx in my quick move? And is it powered up enough that I can get through 2-3 Dynamax rotations? Solo. Underline that, bolden that, italicize that. Solo. This experience has been solo since the beginning, and doing it with a group was just an added bonus, you know?
Yeah, and also with that added, if you did Beldum or Phalanx with a group with 2 people, it was easy. It was like fighting the 1-stars. He just fell over because that's just what the difficulty of the content was. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with the difficulty of 1 and 3-star necessarily.
Right.
But to go right from a 3-star to a 6-star is insane.
Yeah.
And not only is it really, really difficult, like a lot of people online have been hammering it home, it's too hard. Fine. I don't have anything else to say. I don't necessarily think it's too hard. I just wish it didn't take 25 people minimum. Like,
yeah,
you can do it with 20 people comfortably if they're using knowledgeable Pokemon. Like if they're not bringing a Charmander or a Sobble or a Ghastly, you can do it with 20 probably. But any fluctuation makes it so much harder. And so that's the part that really sticks with me. I want it to be difficult. That's cool. But I want it to be difficult like 7-star raids in Scarlet and Violet are difficult. I want to rock up there with 3 friends, coordinate in a successful manner, dedicate roles, communicate with each other, and beat it, and feel empowered to do so.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm going to be more expected to brute force every single one of these I'm going to do in the future, just because I have to hope the number of people show up.
Yeah, I would really like for it to be like 8 or 12 people that know what they're doing, or 30 that have no idea. And those are the things for success.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that would feel really, really good. It wasn't quite that. And I mean, the feature is such that, you know, it does require you to sort of feel it out. If you are fully powered up, you can probably brute force it with 40. Charizard was pretty easy if you had a powered up water,
absolutely.
you know, and then that Gigantamax Charizard, if you put some, you know, some resources into it, did some powering up and stuff like that, and you brought that into a Venusaur, that Venusaur was much easier than if you had not done that. Right. We did this over 2 days, right? We had Saturday in the mall, and then Sunday we were in the park, and both days we were again lucky enough to be coupled with the Minneapolis group. And that Sunday went remarkably smoother. Everybody had powered up some Pokemon. They knew what to expect. They had Gigantamax Pokemon ready to use as well. You could feel the difference. And so this will get easier for sure. I do believe that.
Speaking of the weekend then, because we've talked a lot about the feature, but there were a couple of glaring problems with the weekend that they've done here.
Okay.
First off, everything was flawless, like in terms of rolling out. I didn't have any issues with the actual experience itself. I think my game crashed once. I was in a lobby and it just kicked me out. And I was like, well, I guess I don't get to do this one. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. You got DC'd on initialization of the battle, right? Yeah.
And that's okay. That happens. Whatever. The biggest problem with this event is they rolled out 3 Pokemon at the same time.
Definitely.
That's absolutely insane. I get it. The Kanto starters get people out. I was excited for them. They're really cool Pokemon, Gigantamax and all that. But 3 is too many because the resources it takes to do these is not insignificant. And we didn't even know what it took in the first place. How much Stardust do you think you spent this weekend, Chris?
Upwards of 3 million.
Yeah, I spent 2 million.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would assume that less than 1% of the player base can spend 2 million Stardust at will. We are in a extreme minority, as are a lot of people that we know.
Yes.
And that's, of course, not assuming the max particles you need, which none of us had, obviously. So 1 at a time, either 1 a month, 1 a week, you know, whatever you want to do. Give players a time to acclimate to the feature really focus the experience. Everybody who wants Charizard is going to be here. And you're not going to get an experience where you do one Gigantamax battle and then 40 of your 200 people leave, you know, because we were blessed to have a group of over 200 at the start of our day with the locals playing in Minneapolis and Mall of America. After 2 battles, we had like
60, 70
maybe.
Yeah.
Which then leads to the second problem that I've seen brought up a little bit. If this is supposed to be like a raid weekend, raid day type experience, they didn't give any free max particles.
Yeah. Yep.
For a regular raid day, whether it's been a 3-star, whether it's been a legendary, whether it's been a mega raid day, you get 5 free raid passes on top of your 2 daily free raid passes because they want people to go out and play. You know, after you did 2 to over on Saturday, if you saved Friday's max particles, you literally could not play unless you spent money. And you know, Chris and I, we both spent money. We both bought max particles because we were there for the experience. That's just what we do. But I had several people there who were like, no, I got 2 of them and that's all I can do.
Yep. Or we had some folks that even like they were willing to pay for like 1 or 2 packs, but they were like pretty much done. And then they were doing regular raids and stuff around us, which is fine. People just wanted to hang out and stuff like that. But it was prohibitive. You know, it wasn't, again, it was a break in the paradigm that you expect to be able to do. Oh, it's a 6-hour window or an 8-hour window, whatever the case might be. I expect to play for 4 of those hours or 3 of those hours. I'm going to go to a place to meet up with real people to do this for a period of time. And you were unable to unless you shelled out a little bit of cash, right? And it almost would have felt better if it was like a ticketed event where if you bought a ticket, you would have gotten like 6 particle packs for like doing research tasks, and the research tasks were do a Gigantamax raid each, right?
But like, here's the thing though, we have those for raid days too. That's on top of the free stuff they give.
What I'm saying is that there was not a single bone given instead of the regular thing. So it was a mass departure from the regular expected sort of, I don't know, like the structure of the event, right? It did feel different. And you know, bear in mind, this is a different system. And you don't lose your particles if you lose the battle. You get them back. You only spend them if you win, right?
Yes.
But winning was hard. Winning was very hard.
And this kind of the free particles kind of ties into another point that's kind of relevant with Gmax Gengar coming up this weekend. It's not actually this weekend, by the way. It is like 5 days long, but that's not going to matter for most people. You are only going to get to do it for 1 day because of how difficult it is.
Yes.
If you can get the people together. And that is, it costs max particles to power up max Pokemon. So, like, I got a shiny Gmax Charizard. I was super happy. You want to know what I did? I leveled that to 50. Not immediately at the end of the day, because in case I got a better one. But
I did it immediately because I'm a fool.
I powered it to 40 because I'm like, I'm going to keep this basically forever, probably.
Yeah.
But powered it to 50. I Elite TN Blast Burn on it because I'm going to use it. It is not the best Charizard I have, but it is one of the best because I was not blessed with Hundo Lux for Charizard. And it is still currently max attack 1. And I just unlocked max Spirit and max Guard on it. Both 1 yesterday. So, and now you have this issue where I've got 3 days until Gmax Gengar. Well, until I'm going to attempt Gmax Gengar, I should say, which is 2,400 free particles. Let's say I'm cheeky and I get the walking as the last bit, and let's say that's 1,000 extra each day, or 1,000 total each day instead of 800. That's 3,000. 3,000 is enough for 1 Pokemon at level 2 for each ability. Level 2 attack, level 2 guard, level 2 spirit. Not counting candies. I'm going to just remove those from the equation for the moment. That's one. And that also means I don't get to do any max battles for this week at all. And then I also have to make sure to save my max particles on Friday to use them on Saturday so I can actually have an extra attempt for Gengars.
I think the resource management gets in the way of enjoyment with this feature in a way that it doesn't in any other feature, I feel.
Yeah, and the limit, so I'm going to make an adjacent for very few people here might follow, except for Chris. There's Valor Stones in World of Warcraft right now, and you use them to upgrade your equipment. It is one of the currencies you use. You're also limited by other ones, but that's not important right now. There is a cap on those. And if you get to the cap, you need to spend them or you can't earn anymore. But spending them is easy. You need a piece of equipment and you need to upgrade it. And if you don't have the other material to upgrade it, like if you didn't have candy, not a big deal. You weren't going to upgrade anything anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But the cap is so low in Pokemon Go for particles that it's extremely prohibitive to use.
Oh yeah, I mean, for comparison, let's just run that analogy all the way out, right? The cap for Valor Stones is 2,000, and to power up, you can power up a piece of equipment 8 times, and to power it up 5 or 6 times will require 350 Valor Stones, something like that, right? So it is not even close to the scale in which Pokemon Go's is 800 particles to do a Gigantamax battle. That's 1 day's worth of stuff. That's crazy. And the cap is 1,000. It's insane.
And to power up a Pokemon, it's 100, 400, 800, I believe is
3 times
is the count there, something like that. Maybe 100, 400, 600 actually.
3 times.
3 times. And okay, you don't need to max all 3 of them. That's okay. You can take them to 2. You don't want to use XL candy. I don't want to use XL candy. I will not take them to 3 unless it's a Pokemon I know I'm going to use forever.
Yeah.
But there's not enough resources in the game. And this is all aside from the fact you still need to power that Pokemon up with Stardust and candy.
Yes.
I'm removing that from the equation because, well, it exists anyways. You would have to power it up to use it anyways, but it's still a cost. The max particle total is a real sticking point now as we start to have actual value for using them.
Yeah, and I feel what's the cost for the ones? 250, right? For the
250
base,
for
1 star.
1 star, 400, 500,
400. I think it's
400 for 3 star.
Yeah, the 250 felt reasonable. 250 felt very reasonable to get in the door, and I thought 400 was starting to get a little icky. And I was like, I can't imagine what these higher tier ones are going to cost, but I did not expect it to cost a full day's worth, just period. To me, that's kind of insane. Now, it doesn't make sense that that's how much a max particle pack gives you is 800, because then it's an equivalent, right? The trade into their idea with a raid pass, more or less. But it is obfuscated behind it being a currency. It's not a 1-to-1, and you can use that in subdivisions to do other things like lesser raids or powering up your Pokemon, right?
The sticking point is the fact that the currency to do the raid is the same currency as to power them up. And I like to do the max battles. I like to do the 1 and the 3 star. I want to do Beldums. I want to do Ghastlies, see if I get a better one. But I can't right now because that's a waste of my resources.
Right now, you need to prepare for Gengar.
Yeah.
Which, hey, this might be a good time for us to, because we're not going to have a gear up segment this week. Let's talk about what folks should be using for Gengar, because we had a great conversation with several of our friends and people that attended, and also Steve from It's Super Effective. We had some dinner on Sunday. We were talking about what some good counters would be. So Mr. Gear Up, why don't you enlighten us? So there's 3, I think, that we came up with, right?
I'm going to list them, but we're also going to talk a little bit about mechanics here because it's actually there is some good stuff here for Gigantamax. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah,
For those who want the depth, it's there. But this is funny. Both Greedent and Wooloo have really good use against Gmax Gengar right now. Greedent is a lot better than Wooloo, but if you already powered up a Wooloo and you want to save your resources, that's okay too. Greedent can learn both Bite and Mud Slap, and then Crunch. So, but all three of those are super effective against Gengar. All of them are good, but also most importantly, they're both normal type, which means that they are 3 times resistant to any ghost moves that Gengar has. Just watch out for Shadow or for Focus Blast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for any non-ghost Gengars, Metagross. Metagross is very good. Psychic, super effective against Gengar because Gengar is unfortunately like that.
Yeah, poison, secondary typing. Throwing us all off for forever after we played Red and Blue, we're like, why, in the future where we weren't used to having ghost types that didn't also have a poison secondary type, being like, what is happening?
But Steel is again 3 times resistant to poison. So it's a good choice. Dynamax Gengars are good choices, but again, you might fall over, so you have to be very careful.
Yeah, and if you have a Gigantamax is not. If you have a Dynamax Blastoise that you've put a lot of resources into, it can learn the fast move of Bite as well, so that will translate well. If again, we're talking about budgeting here for resources. If you've already spent that and you're not interested or unable to build something else, these things will be more effective than just running in there with a Charizard and trying to burn it.
Well, yes and no. Charizard is really good, though. Like, Charizard is a very reasonable choice. Gigantamax Charizard, in particular, if you've done it this past weekend, is very good. It's just that strong. And Gengar is that frail. That if you don't want to spend resources on a Ghastly, or maybe you've already powered up a bunch of regular Metagross, even a Dynamax Charizard can be a good choice. It all really depends on how many people you have with you, unfortunately.
That's true. And there will be more win conditions met for Gmax Gengar, which we'll get into here when we're finished with the overall Gigantamax discussion, because Niantic is making a few adjustments here for Gengar ahead of its debut, after the feedback that was shared by everybody in the community from this past weekend for Gigantamax. But yeah, it's still tight. It's still a tight turnaround. It really, really is. But yeah, I do want to spend a little bit of time really quick talking about the positives about this and how interesting it was and how fun it was, because there were several times. If you didn't get a chance to do the Gigantamax battles and you're like, what are these guys talking about? We'll give you a little bit of insight, right? So you can have up to 40 people, right? And you're in groups of 4. But what even though you can only really see your group of 4, they do have a number that shows how many Pokemon are left in the battle in your entire group. And so if you're running 40, it's 120 up in that right-hand corner, right?
It is.
It's right-hand corner, whatever it is. It's up there. And there were several times. When there were a couple squads, everybody else gets wiped out. He goes in for a big attack and you're like, oh, you're at 120. Now you're at 86 or whatever, right? Like, oh my gosh, everybody just died. That's crazy, which is like a fun thing, because especially if you play MMOs, like it's like somebody failed a tank mechanic. It's hilarious. But there were some times when it got down to 20, 15, 12 Pokemon remaining, and those people knew what they were doing. There was somebody spamming guard. There was somebody spamming healing, and the other 2 were spamming attack, and the heals were keeping them alive, and the tank was tanking, and it was working. Now, getting the ball rolling on that is a little bit difficult, because you kind of have to get into a rhythm, and also having 30 people cheering for you helps you charge those gauges much faster, right? But it was fascinating to see the holdouts. Seeing a group of 12 last for like 3 whole minutes on their own was magic, and it was very hype when it worked, and you were down to the last like 5 or 4 Pokemon, and people are actually able to take it down. Like, we're cheering for these people. There was hype to be had, and that was very, very cool. But in order to get there, you needed to have a bigger group to begin with, so that the cheering could also enable that loop on the other people.
Yeah, but that kind of shows that the mechanics are there. There is actual, like, genuine value to bringing a Pokemon that's not just, hey, this hits that for super effective. As I mentioned, with what obviously we have limited choices right now for Gengar,
Right.
but with what's available for Gengar, something that's normal type is a good choice, because something else you can do with G-Max battles, well, with Max battles in general, you just don't need to do it with other ones, is you can swap during the Dynamax animation to a different Pokemon. So you can stay in with a tank or with something that can really take a hit and then switch to your heavy hitter during the Dynamax window where you can't get attacked back, attack 3 times, and then switch back. Or stay out for a while, have your teammates use Max Spirit next cycle, and then you're fully healed, and you keep going like that. Somebody used Max Guard, and the Max Guard works like a taunt, so the boss only attacks them. Like, there's some really good stuff there that just feels bad that you need, 20 people to experience it.
And had those mechanics been explained, that like, hey, when a Pokemon guards, it will taunt the boss, that would have helped people bridge the gap for several of these battles instead of the chaos and cluster that it was for a lot of these things. I can't imagine trying to problem solve in min-max. Like, I saw a lot of people talk about, hey, like, we had a group of 25 and we kept attempting this one Pokemon for 45 minutes of the 1 hour rotation until they got it. That is nuts. That is like a progression rating in an MMO. And if anybody's done that, that grind is punishing. It truly, truly is. Is it rewarding? Sure. But when you're introducing a new feature like this, it is important to nail the optics and the game feel and stuff so people come back for more instead of being like, ouch, that sucked. I didn't care for that, and I feel bad. I won't interact with it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in the spirit of that, Niantic has put out a few statements. I don't think publicly. It was confirmed with us and other content creators that they're going to be making some changes to G-Max Gengar in anticipation of its debut starting on the 31st. They're going to be adding 25,000 Stardust as a reward for each completed Gigantamax Gengar. Adding to that reward pool is a good idea, since Stardust is actually a resource that people will use since you have to max these things out or power them up in some way. They're going to be increasing the catch rate. Since the difficulty was so high, there's nothing more heartbreaking than not being able to catch the darn thing after you've just spent an hour hitting your head against a wall trying to learn a system that was unexplained to you. So this will be good, because it just that would feel so bad. We both had one run from us, but Kyle and I were golden raspberrying and curveball throwing and getting excellence and the like. Not everybody is doing that. Not everybody has played this game for 7.5 years. It's a big ask. So increasing the catch rate is a very good idea. And then they said they're going to adjust the difficulty slightly, tuning Gengar to make the encounter easier compared to other Gigantamax encounters. And they want to do that so that even though it is going to be the Gigantamax is supposed to be the hardest content, they do want it to be accessible, especially when it's like on a Pokemon like Gengar instead of like their, I guess, flagship Pokemon, right? Which should be sort of the higher-falutin sort of like, oh, this is hard to do, right? They did say you'll still need to coordinate with the group and strategize. They're not like completely gutting the feature by ease, but what I hope this means is that you can do it with 8 or 12 if you really know what you're doing, or 20 with some effort. That would be really, really great. I feel like people would be a lot happier and more successful with that. If you have some more feedback on those changes, Kyle, please share them, because I have something else I also want to talk about with this.
No, we didn't talk about like the rewards that we were getting over this weekend. If we wanted to mention that. Sure.
I mean, go ahead. I was less focused on that. I know you doubled a lot of them. I did not. I just kind of was talking a lot with people and just happy to get them done.
Got to call me out like that. Everyone's going to be like, ah. But yeah.
Well, I figured you were going to talk about it. It's not a secret.
The rewards were okay. It was 25,000 experience 30 candy of the Pokemon you caught, 1 XL candy, I believe. It was 1 guaranteed rare candy XL, and any potential rare candy or raspberries. I didn't pay attention to that because it wasn't that important.
Yeah.
But with a lucky egg, that's 50,000 experience right there. Like, that's pretty great. And because I'm a glutton for punishment for rare candy XL and experience, I doubled many of my rewards because that's 100,000 experience and an extra rare candy XL. And sure, it mathematically not a good decision, but I got the reward for doing 24 battles times 2, because there was no world I was going to do 50 battles and use the coins to do more battles, which is the argument for why you would not want to double them. Now, I don't get double the encounters, obviously, but so adding 25k Stardust to the reward is just good. It's nice.
Yes, I think it's necessary. I would like to see a little bit more, but I think 25k is fine. I mean, if you're going to run a star piece on it, that's 37,500, and that is huge. That's absolutely huge, especially if you're in a group and you're able to roll through these. That would be awesome. That will be awesome, rather, because this is happening again on the 31st. One thing I did want to point out is that there was a particular pain point that I saw online that I wanted to sort of shout out. That those of you that made the effort to build up your local community, let's say you are a rural or close to rural sort of player, and your community isn't 3, but it's 30. And you're able to, and you've been working on this for years in order to grow from 3 to 30, because there wasn't before. You're the person in your town that is like the go-getter, and you've convinced people to play over the past few years, right? It has got to be gutting, absolutely gutting, to have your 20 people show up and you're like, oh my gosh, we got most of our community out here, and you were unable to do these. I implore you, while I know that you feel like this was a slap in the face this past weekend, and I agree with you, I think most people would. It's kind of bad. It should have. Of course, there's always going to be an accessibility issue around rural play, and this is just an ugly thing that we have to sort of live with. And they want this to be a big team spectacle, and it's not going to scale down for just one group of 4, right? They want it to be a big group. That means that objectively, if you are a rural trainer and you have a rural community of like 10 or fewer, you are just SOL, and that's just the case. Right? That's just going to be the ugly truth, unfortunately. But if you put in the work, like they said to do for raids, and you got 20 together to do it, you still could not do these. We want to acknowledge you, validate that first of all. Sorry. Not that it's our fault, but we feel you and empathize with you, right? But I implore you, please give the Gigantamax Gengar a shot. If it is going to be that much easier, or even just a little bit easier, I would imagine that you could probably pull this off. And this feature is fun. It really, really, really is fun once you get your head around it. I just don't think we should have had to do a grassroots movement as boots on the ground and the day of that it's live. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I agree. And that said, this is going to sound like it's coping, but if Gmax Gengar does not work out, that's okay. There hasn't been a lot of time to prepare here. It only gets easier as more time is invested.
Yeah.
And Gmax Toxtricity will be a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the first one that will have access to a 4 times weak counter. Charizard has a 4 times weak counter, but we don't have a rock type to use against it, so it doesn't count.
Right.
But we're going to have access to Excadrill starting next Monday. Although we don't know if that's just for Monday or if that's the duration of the event there. I don't remember.
And Double's got Mud Slap.
Yeah. Such
and Greedent too.
Stat, but yes.
Yeah.
It's Greedent that has Mud Slap. Double has
Bulldoze? Tackle
and Low Kick.
I thought I had a ground move.
Nope, unfortunately.
Bummer. Okay.
I learned that today.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but please give it a try. Give it again. One more go, and hopefully this weekend or this event rather, it'll be better, and we can move on together, hand in hand. Now, should clarify that while Niantic has lowered the bar for Gigantamax Gengar in the ways that we listed and enumerated just a little bit ago, they were very clear that this is only happening to Gengar for now. So if it goes really, really well and people have a great response to it, they might implement that later on, or they might start breaking the difficulty tiers up a little bit. Who knows? It's a brand new feature. Sounds like they're also figuring it out on the fly like we are, which is a shame because it probably should have been dialed in a bit more. But, you know, how are you supposed to focus test this, I guess? But they were very clear that this is not going to apply across the board. So unless you hear otherwise, assume that Gigantamax Toxtricity is going to be at a similar difficulty level as Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise. Of course, again, like Kyle was just saying, you'll have access to better counters that will do more damage because 4 times, right? But just be aware that that's what that means. This is not a concession for the whole system. This is going to be a test.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, a lot of things that we've said, right? But I think I just want to reiterate one more time. Kyle and I and people we were playing with, we had a really good time.
We did.
We did. We had a really good time. It's a shame that not everybody was able to have a good time. And we were able to have a good time because we were enabled by the privilege of being in a super duper populated area. But just so you know, when it works, it's really fun. And I hope that we can figure out how to make it work for as many people as possible.
Yeah, I'm slightly less optimistic until the system gets tweaked, because just looking in my local community, by the way, I need to mention here, check Campfire for your local areas if you don't regularly do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be your best chance if you don't have the connections to find somebody to do Gmax Gengar with. I am using it this weekend. I found someone hosting a meetup like 25 minutes from me in a place I never go to that says 20 people are going to go. I really hope 20 people actually show up. I'll be very sad if they don't. But even still, using these systems, I'm looking at Chicago right now for meetups. There is like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of Go players in Chicago. We know, we've met them and we've heard about them. And to see that you can't easily find the people you need, even in populated areas, is an extreme frustration when they introduce a system that needs players. Not you want players, you need players to do this.
Yeah, it's not it goes faster, it goes at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. 100%. Okay, so I mean, I think that's a good place to leave it for now, until we get our hands on, hopefully, some Gigantamax Gengar and are able to see how these adjustments have played out. So, yeah, we hope that you were successful this past weekend with Gigantamax, Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, and we hope that you're successful with Gengar. And if you were not, again, we implore you, even if you feel like the game doesn't deserve it, please give it another try, because if this goes well, maybe we can collectively as a community push this feature in a direction where it becomes more accessible. And I hate to say the words make it easier, because I don't want that to be the case. I like having a challenge in my game. You know, I think most people like to have a challenge. Actually, we could have a discussion about that later. That's the question for this week. but Kyle and I like challenging video games. We play Monster Hunter, like the real Monster Hunter. Actually, Monster Hunter now is hard too. I take that back. I take that back. But like, we've played Souls games and stuff. You know, like, we like these things to be hard, and we play MMOs, and this appeals to us. But you should want more people to participate. It shouldn't just be for sweaties and that's it. It should be more. So let's hope that that's what happens in the future here.
Yep.
And by the future, I mean like 2 days as of recording. Get those greetings powered up, folks. Let's go. Okay, let's move along here to a piece of actual news. This came out like right after we recorded last week, so we didn't get a chance to cover it. But the Harvest Festival 2024, let's talk about it. This is going to be happening on Thursday, November 7th at 10 a.m. and run to Tuesday, November 12th at 8 p.m. local time. Event bonuses will include 2 times candy for catching Pokemon, an increased chance to encounter shiny Pumpkaboo. Mossy Lure modules will attract different Pokemon during the event, such as Alolan Exeggutor, Snorlax, Pumpkaboo, and Smoliv. Wild encounters will include Oddish, Execute, Hoppip, Sunkern, Miltank, Zigzagoon, Bunnelby, and Pumpkaboo of all sizes, and Smoliv, which, notably, is having its shiny release with this event. That's very exciting. Yay. Another Galar shiny. That's pretty sweet. Field Research Task Reward. Wait, is it? Yeah, it is Galar, yeah. Field Research Task Rewards. If you do an event-themed field research task that gives you an encounter, it will give you a Pumpkaboo and /or, actually just or, a Smoliv. There will be a paid timed research for $2 US or the equivalent in your local currency. And those will also give you 2 Mossy Lure modules, 1 incense, 1 lucky egg, and more encounters with Smoliv. So if you're looking to farm some encounters with Smoliv, the paid timed research is probably worth your while. There's going to be some collection challenges as well, event-themed collection challenges. Complete them to receive Stardust and encounters with Smoliv. I hope we all walk away from this event with a shiny Smoliv. They're just throwing them at us. That's awesome. And there's going to be showcases and web store bundles, of course. We had a Harvest Festival last year, didn't we? I think we did. Yes,
we did.
Yeah,
sure we did, at least.
And I liked it. I liked it a lot. We love fall just in general. And, you know, after Halloween ends, I'm always a little sad to see fall things sort of like take a step back. You know, people are putting up their Christmas trees before Halloween's even done. And that always makes me sad because I feel like fall deserves its time. And so Harvest Festival is a nice thing to see tucked right after Halloween. You're like, it's not snowing yet, you know, like.
Yeah. And we got the release of Smoliv last Harvest Festival. So that's fun.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I don't think there's anything bad about this event, honestly. It's just, it's theming. You get a new shiny release, and it's cool.
Just another paid ticket.
Yeah, I like my research, my paid timed research. I do. And the collection challenges. I'm a big collection challenge guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. It sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, there's not really much to say. It's cool.
No.
Smoliv's adorable. I don't particularly care about the evolutions that much, but Smoliv's adorable.
Yeah, Smoliv is adorable. And the Pumpkaboo hunting is fun. If you've never done like looking for shinies of each of the sizes and stuff like that, or this is your first year playing Pokemon Go and you just haven't done the different sizes hunting in the first place, it's fun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I love Pumpkaboo. So,
Yep.
And it's got a nice hat right now. So,
sure does. Yes. And so just for those of you that don't know, small size, average size, large size, and super size Pumpkaboo all visually look different sizes and stuff too. So it is cool. It's very, very neat. So there's that. It's so funny to talk about an event just like this, like in comparison to such a nuanced feature release as Gigantamax, and just be like, oh yeah, that's what it is. There you go.
This is the potatoes. This is the potatoes event.
Yeah.
It's like it's just good. It's kind of neutral. There's not really a lot to say about it, I think.
Yep, 100%. And then I guess, hey, let's round out the news section. There's only one more thing to say. There's going to be a daily PokéCoin bounty thing that you could buy, part 3. It starts November 3rd. It's going to be for $4.99 US, or the equivalent pricing in your currency. And it's really the same deal as part 1 and part 2 again. I didn't really see anything different going on, or different enough going on to mention. But if you buy it in the store, you get 25 extra PokéCoins, and you buy it from there, I think, at the web store. And it's, you get your daily challenge to get your PokéCoins, and there's that. So it will have as much value, or won't have as much value, as it did for you in the past. Make an educated decision while purchasing or choosing not to purchase the PokéCoin bounty. And that's that. that's that. I'm interested and eager to have more Gigantamax conversations next week. This is far from over, and hopefully we will have Gengars in tow next week. But with that, let's wrap up the news, which means that we're going to take a short break here. And when we come back, we're going to be going into PokéPoll.
And we're back with last week's PokéPoll, which was, what Pokemon do you think deserves a Gigantamax form that doesn't have one, and what would it be like? First one's from, apologize if I don't say it right, GT Wish. And they said, I would love to see Greninja and its Gigantamax form be Ash Greninja.
The Ash Greninja stands are at it again.
That's one way to sneak in Ash Greninja.
Absolutely. I love it.
Next was from Lemurio, and they said, I think this is legit my favorite Pokemon adjacent thing to think about. I love the absurdity. Long cat Meowth is brilliant, and design.
True. So true.
I'll spare you the design theory I have and just offer a few ideas. Midnight form Lycanroc. Hear me out, because it seems weird, but imagine if we're all almost flat to 2D black and the outlines were white and red, like a painting by, I'm going to assume it's an artist. I don't know how to pronounce their name. Basquiat?
Sure.
I apologize.
Basquiat?
Or the line animations are the beginning of the Pixar's Soul movie. So sort of wild and scratchy and legitimately scary, especially when against the night red-black sky. Personally, I like Rockruff due to its being so cute, and Midnight Lycanroc deserves to be threatening and actually a werewolf.
Yeah, we need more werewolves.
Yeah. Luxray, who also needs more love. In the podcast, you had the epic idea of having a pyramid from a Pokemon, and it reminded me that I've always thought that Luxray and Shiny Luxray are gorgeous, and Shiny Luxray looks like an Egyptian cat deity to me. So let's just make Luxray into the Sphinx, i.e. the actual structure, but with a Luxray face, not a noseless man face, with hieroglyphs and golden stuff. That's, yeah, I like that. That actually is pretty fun.
Yep, big fan. Great.
I accept your mask.
Okay, actually, here I know it says with the Luxray face, not a noseless man face with hieroglyphics and gold and stuff, but like the Sphinx, like the man face was like the thing.
I mean, it is the thing, but if you were to put it in Go and you made a Pokemon in the shape of the Sphinx, having anything as its face, I think, would be adequate.
Yeah, that would fly. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I
that's
think
a good
if you
point.
get the right silhouette, it's okay either way.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back in.
Back to the response. They said, I accept your mask love greatly, and Coffagrigus is definitely in my top designs, but I adore Runerigus.
You nailed it.
It reminds me of the Sleer from Neil Gaiman's Graveyard book. And so I even have a Max Runerigus that is named this. But I picture Gigantamax Runerigus as this terrifying apocalyptic obelisk in a desert, like where you evolve in Sword. And its brutal swing, iconic, those ridiculous arms.
So true.
Arms whipping around madly while spirits wander out from its rocky bits. Think Mad Max meets Twister as told by some ancient doomsday prophet.
Yeah.
I won't go forever, and who knows, I may never catch a Gigantamax in Go, but I'm absolutely down to see them and muse about what could be designed. P.S. 8 Yamash Shinies here, and you can bet all the Galar ones are queuing up as buddies to become a small squad of Runerigus for AR photos eventually.
Nice.
It's a lot of raids you got to do.
Sure is. Nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
I liked all those ideas. Thank you. We get to steal them all now.
All right. The next one is from Tone, and they said, there isn't a lot of love for Sinnoh Pokemon within Galar. None have a regional form or Gigantamax form. So I would give it to something from Sinnoh. There aren't actually a lot of Sinnoh Pokemon even in Galar, but I think a Gmax Spiritomb has a lot of potential.
Oh, yeah.
The stone that holds the spirits could break in Gmax form, and it's just the 108 spirits reconfigured into another formation than just a glowing orb. I love it. Great idea. And that's a tragic thing to point out about Sinnoh Pokemon in Galar. # Dexit.
Dexit. Get that out of this show. There's no room for that. No room.
Oh man. Next response comes in the form of an email from Senior Spirit Doom 66. They said, "Hey Chris and Kyle, my answer to this week's PokéPoll is Spiritomb. And I'm not saying this just because it's my favorite Pokemon. I'm saying this because it would be perfect. Basically, the keystone would be giant. The hologram-like face would then come out of the top and then wrap around the side like Venusaur does. The mouth would go around the whole hologram, and the circles and eyes would be following you around from each and every side. The signature Gigantamax move would be the G-Max Spirit. Still working on the name. But it would be really cool if it had a G-Max form. I'm really hoping it gets a Mega in Legend ZA. Anyway, sorry for the long email. Shiny Spiritomb vibes all. Senior Spiritomb 66. I need the Spiritomb vibes. Thank you."
He does.
I like it too. Yeah.
Those 3 tasks you have are going to be 3 shiny Spiritomb. Could you imagine?
Just give me a heart attack. I'll die like in my car outside of the gym, and I'll be on the news.
You'll get like a letter from Niantic. It's like, "Oh, we're going to need 2 of those back. You weren't supposed to get those." Yeah. Oh gosh, we have a answer from Sarah Amanda in the form of a voicemail. Here it is.
Hey GoCast, it's Sarah Amanda here. So for the PokéPoll question, which Pokemon do I think deserves a Gigantamax form? Obviously, I think it should be Flygon. Its Gigantamax form would be very majestic, and, I'm not that creative. Just use your imagination on what that would look like and how awesome that would be. But in addition to how all, like, Dynamax, G-Max Pokemon have more HP or whatever, Gigantamax Flygon, it'll also have slightly more speed, like a 5% increase to its speed stat. Why 5%, you ask? So that'll be faster than its nemesis, Garchomp. I mean, come on now. What Pokemon has a base speed stat of 102? Like, that's such a weird number. The answer is Garchomp, because Garchomp is petty and ridiculous. That's all. Peace. Sir Amanda.
Hey, you know why Garchomp has 102 base speed?
To be faster than Flygon?
Exactly.
Yeah. Flygon fans out here just being all upset about it.
Unironically, though, that is actually basically the answer, because Garchomp has 102 base speed, so that it's just a little bit faster than 100 speed, because 100 speed is like the Goldilocks zone of average for Pokemon speed.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Flygon.
Nice use of Goldilocks zone. I love that. That was good. So Sarah Amanda, I've never said this before, but I'm also a big Flygon fan. It's at least insofar as like compared to Garchomp. Garchomp is cool, but I think Flygon is cooler. Evolves from a bug. How could it not be cooler? Just saying.
Yeah, sure. It does evolve from a bug.
Yeah, that's objectively true. You can't take that from me.
Okay.
All right.
It's not a bug type, but sure.
No. But he's a little buggy boy.
Okay. But for this week's Pokemon we have, does the concept of highly challenging content in Pokemon Go appeal to you? Or are you more of a casual/passive trainer?
I've done it again, folks, where I've written a question where we actually had answered this earlier in the show. So that means that we're not going to be answering it probably that much here, except to say, yeah, we like our challenges.
We do. I do like challenges.
Yeah. But I was thinking about this earlier when we were kind of talking in the car, and it was something that we almost talked about earlier too, that challenging content is great. It is fantastic, and it makes people take things more seriously, and it's engaging. But there are so many different types of people that play this game because it's a mobile game that is free to play if you so choose. It is very accessible and therefore caters to a lot of different play styles. So I'm just so curious if out there challenging content is something that everybody actually likes, or like, what if we're the minority here,
Well, we're not completely the minority because, Dark Souls still sells really well, but
yeah, but it's still just us buying it.
Yeah.
It's an echo chamber of difficulty. Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay, so, dear listener, if you have an answer to this week's PokéPoll question, which is, once again, does the concept of highly challenging content in Pokemon Go appeal to you, or are you more of a casual/passive trainer? You can answer that question when we post it on X at GOCast Podcast. We're also on Threads at the same handle, at GOCast Podcast. You can answer that if you're a patron of ours in our Discord server. That's just for patrons. We have a channel for it. If you're watching on YouTube, hello, YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. We love you very much for doing so. You can leave a comment there, and that will answer as an answer to this question, and we can pull from there. If you are listening via the Spotify mobile app, please reply or comment on the episode with your answer. That will work as well. And finally, you can always just email us to mail@gocastpodcast.com or call our voicemail line at 262-586-7717. And speaking of emails and voicemails, where are we, Mr. Kyle? It's not Mall of America anymore with all of our friends.
Nope, because it's time for emails.
Oh, so true. And one voicemail that I missed last week. I'm sorry, Hero Eyes. Here it is.
Hey, Chris and Kyle. It's Hero Ice 18 here. And I just wanted to shoot in a quick voicemail. I know I'm a couple weeks late, but I will always be a defender of the daily incense. Especially now in Arizona. Like, we literally just got out of our hundreds. We are now sitting at a crisp 76 for our fall, which is amazing. So now we are in the mood to actually go out and walk. So the update to the incense is especially great right now. So that way, when I go out with walks with my wife in the evening, I'm able to pop the incense, and then in the parts of my neighborhood that don't have Pokestops or have low spawn density, the incense picks up for it. And because there's so few spawns, I can focus more on what the incense comes with and make sure that it doesn't appear and then disappear if I click on another Pokemon. So I think that the daily incense is one of the best features in Go, especially for a casual, and I just hope that they keep improving it as the time goes on. So just wanted to give a little rural perspective, but I hope you guys are doing good, and good luck with Halloween events. See you later.
Yeah, since we've been having discussions about Daily Adventure Incense, we've heard a lot of people that really enjoy it. So it sounds like Kyle and I might be in a minority here of like, oh, we can take it or leave it.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think neither of us think it's bad. That's for sure.
No, I just forget about it. That's the only problem.
Yeah. That's fair.
And then I get like an update or a push notification at like 10 p.m. It's like, you can still use your Daily Adventure Incense. I'm like, no, not now. Sorry.
I think it's not necessarily that I forget about it, although this is forgetting about it adjacent here.
Okay.
Is when I'm playing, I'm less likely to be actively playing. If I were to go for a walk, my plus will probably do more catching than I will by hand. Yeah. So the Daily Adventure Incense doesn't have a lot of value to me. And if I'm playing during an event or anything else that's happening, I'd rather use a regular incense and get more of the spawns I'm actively playing for instead of a rare chance at a bunch of random spawns.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, we were talking about this over the weekend at some point in time, but like if I'm going out for a walk, I'm probably taking one of the two dogs with me, and it's very difficult while walking an animal to also do your Daily Adventure Incense. I guess it depends on the dog, but for the two that we have, it requires a little bit more engagement, and I can't always play Pokemon Go. It's more of a dog management situation than anything else. So I don't know. It just doesn't work. Maybe I have to just go out on several walks a day, sometimes by myself. That would be kind of nice. But there are also times like when I go out on walks like that, I go out to disconnect. Like I don't want to stare at my phone. I want to just look at the street and trees and houses and stuff, So I don't know. It's all a personal thing, right? Everybody does this differently. So it is great to hear people like it a lot. So thank you very much for calling in, Hero Eyes. And again, I'm sorry I missed your voicemail last week. Thank you for being so gracious about it. We've got 2 emails this week. This first one here is from Maxitron. Hey, Chris and Kyle, I heard the meetup was a lot of fun. Glad so many of y'all could get together for that. I'll hopefully be able to make it to the next one or see y'all at the next GoFest. I hope so. Yeah. The Halloween event is not too bad. I got the early access to the costume Pokemon ticket and was not let down when I got a 96% costume Rowlet. Nice. By the way, this little owl is the best part of the whole event, and I'm stoked to try and get a shiny during Spotlight Hour. Shiny vibes all. Now both owls have cute little hats. You're reminding me now, by the way, Maxitron, thank you very much, that we're in the middle of that Spotlight Hour right now, and I haven't connected my Plus, so here we go.
So, okay, my Plus cleared everything out and only caught like 3 things.
Oh, well, I'm
trying to catch like 12, so.
I'm hoping, fingers crossed. I did some Gmax battles with my local group on Saturday. I ended up completing 4, but only catching 3 because a Blastoise, of all things, didn't want to stay in its enormous-sized Max Premier Ball. Oh well, it was a Blastoise. I love that its dex entry is something like, it can't hit targets very well, so it just shoots all of its cannons. And then Gmax Cannonade makes it sound like a war frigate from the golden age of piracy. I do like that Rare Candy XL were guaranteed on each completion of Gmax battles, but I don't think I like the $2 price point to double it still. I know it's technically giving you more chances you don't know you need to catch it and some other items, but still, yeah, it does give you more Premier Balls.
Yeah, it doubles the Premier Balls you get as well, which I didn't mention.
Yeah. Okay. Since you've asked, I'll get to the constructive criticism part. While my experience was overall pretty good, I had some gripes with the level of preparation they expected of us without communicating that to us. Sounds like Maxitron's dialed in, man. Yeah. My best D-Max Pokemon were 2 level 40 Charizards, a level 40 Double, a level 40 Inteleon, and a 30-something Venusaur. I think of my Zards and my Double had maxed out Dynamax moves, so I stuck with being healer when I Dynamaxed. First gripe. Most people I talked to hadn't unlocked any other D-Max moves, let alone powered up the damaging one. That's not really their fault, since if you hadn't really been following Dynamax battles, you wouldn't know there was a gap between 1-star and 3-star, and a much bigger leap between 3-star and 6-star that not even veterans can carry you through like in raids. I also wasn't sure when I was supposed to dodge, or if I could even mitigate damage by dodging every move, or just the large attacks. And those Gmax Pokemon were throwing community moves out left and right. Needless to say, my cadre of Pokemon fell before Gmax Blastoise. Here's what I'm thinking. In Monster Hunter now, you are limited by your own hunter rank to only hunt certain rank monsters. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but let's say it's hunter rank 50. Let's do 8-star hunts and group hunts like Huntathons and Elder Dragon interceptions. For the lay Pokemon trainer, these are the equivalent of raids. Now, if you don't have that rank requirement met, you can hunt 3 out of 5 of the monsters in a hat lineup, but when you get to the 4th, that is finally 8 stars, the prior ones are 5, 6, and 7, respectively, that's it. They did this because too many hunters were not able to complete hunts because unprepared hunters weren't able to keep up with the damage needed to take down some of these monsters. Okay, I'm not saying we toss out trainers that aren't so-and-so level. I like that Pokemon is a bit more inclusive in that regard, and it can be easier to get prepared. I just don't think any trainer knew how prepared to be. I know we'll never get official tutorial videos or in-game guides on this stuff, but it'd be nice to roll this kind of guidance into a rigorous special research that is required to complete before you do Gmax raids. You could have tasks like evolve 3 Dynamax Pokemon, evolve 3 more Dynamax Pokemon, unlock Dynamax Guard 3 times, unlock Dynamax Spirit 3 times, and more stuff like that guides you to get ready for these Gmax battles. How's the phrase go? You can bring a Rapidash to water and make a drink. Something like that, I think. Yes, it's close enough. There's more granular stuff you could do with special research like that to provide rewards / supplies like specific Candy XL or Max Particles to help with the process. I feel like a research like that is warranted since this is a whole new feature and everyone is starting for virtually nothing but piles of candy. That's a good way to kind of wrap that whole thing up. That was good. I do like the news that they've tweaked Gmax battles to be a little bit easier and more lucrative with Stardust. Hopefully they'll be more doable. Would also love to see it be more rural friendly. Maybe something like if you want remote help, you need to have at least a lobby of 4, and then it pairs you up with other lobbies of 4 like Dimensional Link hunts in Monster Hunter now. That way they can stick to the principle of in-person socializing and still have the feature be accessible. That is brilliant. I love that. That's so smart. And we forgot to mention that one of the big problems was that this was local only, so you couldn't remote in. But yeah, that is a big problem for accessibility. So good call. I like that groups of 4 matches up with other groups of 4 because they already have you subdivided anyway. Might as well, right?
Yeah, it would solve so many problems if
It
that was the
would.
case. It would
They
be
wouldn't even
brilliant.
have to tweak the difficulty if you were always going to get into a group of 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder why I like to write in and voice these opinions. Do I like to hear the dulcet tones of Chris or Kyle reading my email? Do I think Niantic is writing these things down to take to the next brainstorming session? Am I blowing off steam in some self-righteous attitude? Are any of those so wrong? I appreciate you guys and all you do. Shiny vibes all again. And I don't know what finished faster, this email or an episode of Monster Hunter Nowcast. Signed Maxitron. Go listen to Monster Hunter Nowcast, hosted by Sarah Amanda and Maxitron. You won't regret it. It's great. Very cogent thoughts, Maxitron, and clearly from our discussion earlier in the show, we agree with you. I think that, you know, the unique idea that you brought up of matching pairs of 4 with other pairs of 4 remotely is so smart. So smart.
I agree. But talk about this idea of a special research. There's both positives and negatives here, and it's a conversation I'm seeing happening online right now that's really hard to make headway with. And that is, we have spent 7 years talking about IVs, deciding what's a better Pokemon to power up, having community day moves, having signature raid moves, being like, don't power this one up, wait to evolve this Pokemon, and all of that. And now this feature comes out and we have to throw it all out the window.
Yeah.
Take it all, throw it in the dumpster because it doesn't matter. Your IVs don't matter, okay? I'm going to say this right now for everyone who's made it this far. A 10-10-10 Charizard is going to do everything you need just fine. It's okay to power it up.
Yes.
Now, if you have a better one, power the better one up, of course. But don't feel like you need to hamstring yourself to wait, because that's probably why we saw so many Sobbles and Charmanders at the start of our adventure this weekend. Because why power up a Charmander from Dynamax when you probably have a Hundo Mega Charizard somewhere? And I think this kind of research will not help with that attitude, unfortunately. In fact, they're going to see I have to evolve 3 Pokemon. Well, why would I waste my time evolving them? I don't need them.
Yeah.
People already get upset at those tasks and throw them out.
I guess, but at least there would have been a trail of breadcrumbs towards the intended game.
I also think if you did this, and hear me out, reward the 3 Kanto Dynamax Pokemon. Gigantamax Pokemon, I'm sorry. We've already had this disaster this weekend. Very few people in the community got to play it. Give a research to give the free Gigantamax Pokemon to jumpstart people doing stuff.
Yeah.
Because as we've talked about, more Gigantamax Pokemon, more max particles spent makes everything easier. And this idea of leading with a breadcrumb of unlocking max spirit 3 times, and then here's a Blastoise. Here's a Gigantamax Blastoise. Congratulations. You know, that would do a lot.
I would agree. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, I mean, there are some holdouts for research. I mean, if you took a look at Kyle's list of unfinished special research, you would also be of this opinion.
How many do I have right now?
I don't know. You've been pretty good about it, though, lately. You've been working through it.
I have 6, but 2 of them are Rocket.
Yeah, they are.
2 of them are Rockets, and 1 of them is the Chansey.
That's my co-host. Yeah,
it's almost done. 11 more Chanseys, and that one will be done.
I gotta say though, honestly, like, what a good way to make Chanseys exciting. You know?
Oh, Chansey, click.
Wow, I need 12 more of these. Thank God. You know. Anyway, Max Tron, thank you very much for the email. Appreciate it.
And our last email is from Slip Slimely. They said, "Hi, GOCast. Slip Slimely here again.
Hello.
Firstly, I wanted to thank you guys for reading my email and offering your thoughts last week. I love the in-depth conversations you guys have on this podcast, and I'm always delighted by how respectful and thoughtful you guys are when responding to emails and messages. Secondly, it was not a misspelling. I did, in fact, mean B-E-E-G, as in a very goofy way of spelling big. Oh, okay.
Big.
Okay. Thank you for noticing, Chris. Fair enough.
You got it.
Thirdly, oh boy, the first weekend of Gigantamax having come and gone, I now absolutely see why everyone was so worried about the implementation. I was gone for a wedding, and so I missed the event, but according to my local community, they had 24 members show up and failed to clear the raid. That's insane. I've asked around, and no one who plays here in Muskegon was able to clear Muskegon.
Maybe.
Okay, I don't know.
If it's like Waukegan and not Waukegan, you know.
Waukegan. But Waukegan has 2 E's.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it does. No, you having me second guess. No one here was able to clear any GMAX
Wakanda
raids
forever.
while they were live. What a massive letdown. Thankfully, it seems Niantic took notice, as supposedly Gengar will be made easier. I'm working on rallying my community for a run on GMAX Gengar this Saturday. Hopefully, I can help coordinate everyone and we can pull this off. Members of the Sylph Road are noting that it's incredibly important to have at least one player in each group before using Max Spirit to keep the team going through the raid. So it's my hope I can get people grouped up so that each party has a healer. Fingers crossed, huh? Hopefully, I've already heard how the raids went for you guys at the meetup. I'm excited to listen to this week and hear what all you accomplished. Thanks for reading as always, and best of luck if you have the chance to attempt a Gengar raid. Sending out more Shina Max vibes, and have a good week.
So Google says it's Muskegon.
Muskegon?
Muskegon. Oh no, Muskegon.
Okay.
I've misplaced Muskegon. Have you seen Muskegon?
Okay. Oh,
sir, you can't bring your Skegan in here. You have to leave it outside. Sorry.
But yes, hearing that a group of 24 failed a raid feels really bad.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be hard to convince 24 people to invest to be able to do it again. You know, that's the real barrier we have now. They lost once or twice or 5 times. You know, maybe they attempted a bunch in one setting.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're told, hey, go spend 500,000 Stardust in 5 days and come try again. And you will win.
Yeah.
But how do you convince somebody of that, you know?
Yeah. And I think that the 24 failing feels even worse because they said 10 to 40, not 20 to 40, not 25 to 40, not as many as you can rustle up. Not that 10 to 40. They gave specific numbers, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's especially bad because raids have historically had a bad estimated number of people to beat.
Yeah.
You know, it says you need 5 people to do a 1-star raid still.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right.
So that feels really bad when you see that. But hopefully your Gengar goes better. Hopefully Chris and I have some luck with Gengar too.
Hopefully everybody gets a Gengar.
I don't know. Chris, you establish any plans for your Gengar day yet?
I have been too darn busy catching up with work.
Fly by the seat of your pants, and it's not going to work.
It's only Tuesday. I
told you we got a plan.
I could make a campfire event maybe tomorrow or even tonight and put it up there, or at least take a look. I haven't even looked yet, Kyle. That's how behind. Well,
I did. There's nothing around you, so.
Oh, well, thank you. Maybe I'll do one then and see if there's any interest. But then I have to go, and then I have to host, and then I've got to, well,
I mean, you don't have to do anything if you're not an ambassador. You can make it and then not show up. Nobody would know.
That's true. Maybe. I don't know. My name is still on there, so hey. But anyway, yeah. Thank you very much for the email, Slips Slimely. Appreciate it very much. And if you would like to send us an email, just like these fine folks did, you can by sending it to mail@gocastpodcast.com. Voicemails can be sent to us by calling 262-586-7717 or by sending it, like a voicemail or a recording via email. That works too. Please visit our website for all things GoCast at GoCastPodcast.com. Follow us on X at GoCast Podcast, on Threads as well under the same handle at GoCast Podcast. Please check us out on YouTube. That's youtube.com/GoCast Podcast. We'd love for you to subscribe and take a look at our faces. We record them every week. To what end, you might ask? Well, it's so you can see them, I suppose. If you'd like to help support the show monetarily for as little as $1 a month, you get access to our Discord. That's via Patreon. That's spelled Patreon, and then followed by .com/GoCast Podcast, or just Google us. We have great SEO for no discernible reason. It certainly wasn't.
That's true.
It certainly wasn't my doing. I'll tell you what. So please go check us out. We'd love it. And speaking of patrons, shout out to our elite trainer tier patrons. I think this is your turn, Kyle. I should really note this every time.
I believe it is my turn.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Chris, look, he marked it.
I did.
Now
We're
I'll never
learning.
be able to get out of it again.
We're learning.
Shout out to elite trainers Bo, Daniel, Lori, Michael, Ozzy, Arkham, Marvin, Mini Sports, Thayer, Jason, Justin, Charles, Modders, Lee, William, Brandon, Ethan, Stephen, Nick, our favorite listener, Drew 2, Camo, The Ugly Rock, Jacob, Victoria, Sarah, Laura, Memorandums, Nabil, Tish, Jacob, Matthew, Don, John Paul, and Micah.
Nailed it. Now say Runarigas.
Runarigas.
Look
I love
at
how
this
I had
man.
a message. I had a message in here where I had to say Runarigas like 5 times. I'm like, oh my God, somebody knew before they sent it in.
The first time sounded so forced.
I was like,
all right.
Man.
Anyway, if monetary support is not in the cards for you, please help us out by leaving us a review. We'd love you all the same. And thank you to our elite tier patrons for your generous support and helping us keep the digital lights on, amongst other things. We hope that you enjoyed your gift bags from this weekend. They were pretty cool. I liked them a lot, and I hope you did too. Okay, we got to set some goals, and then we are out of here. License to skedaddle, if you will.
Yeah.
This upcoming weekend is, well, upcoming events, at least, maybe not even just the weekend, but it's GMAX Gengar. It's coming out. It's going to be a thing. Happy Halloween, y'all. So, Kyle, what are you looking to do?
I'm looking to do a GMAX Gengar and hopefully catch it. Actually, I should really say catch a GMAX Gengar, because doing it and not catching it would be an absolute travesty.
Oh, true.
I want to power up some GMAX Pokemon, Dynamax Pokemon. I don't really have a list right now. I should probably make one so I use the particles efficiently. I got to do a Greedent for sure. I may do a Metagross. I may have to use some rare candy for that. That's going to feel bad.
Oh, boy.
I didn't get to do Community Day Classic, and I powered up so many Metagross. Like it,
it was not a judgmental oh boy. It was an empathetic oh boy.
I'm sad about it. Okay.
Okay. Well, maybe you can get over it. Okay. Don't you still have a pile of rare candy? Couldn't you feed like the entirety of New York City with how much rare candy
I have
you
800. I put 300 into a Palkia over the weekend for inventory space.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
And 400,000 experience. I'm on the grind.
He's on the grind
to 30 million.
He's he's almost done. He's almost done, folks. Alrighty. For myself, I want to successfully complete and catch a GMAX Gengar. I like to hatch 50 eggs because I've been slacking. I have been slacking. I need to keep going here. And I like to power up a Dynamax Greedent in anticipation of using it for this GMAX Gengar. I have 2 Squovits. They're not spectacular. So hopefully tomorrow I'll have a chance to go out and do a couple Squovit raids or Dynamax battles. And maybe, because I really only could do like 1 or 2 because I need the particles to power up that Squovit. So I'll do 1 or 2 more, and then I'll take whatever my best one is and I'll run with that. And that'll be what I do for Gengar prep. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening all the way through, folks. We really appreciate you. Again, if we saw you at the meetup, it means the world to us that you came out. So thank you so much for coming out. It was lovely, and everybody was fantastic. And a big shout out and a big thank you to the Minneapolis group. They were so welcoming and they were so kind. Everybody was so nice. It was fantastic. Really made the experience that much better. But happy Halloween, y'all, and good luck on your Gigantamax Gengars, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.